Peppa Pig has a lost sister, and the clues are hidden in plain sight. Mummy Pig is pregnant, but what if this isn't her third child? No evil twin theory, no scoreboard nonsense. We've got real clues, and they tell a much sadder story. In the episode The Olden Days, Susie Sheep comes over to Peppa's house to play. She brings an old photo of herself as a baby, but Peppa looks confused. She says she doesn't recognize Susie and insists that she was never a baby either. That's when the two start arguing. Susie tries to explain that everyone starts out small, even Peppa, but Peppa isn't so sure. Later, Peppa goes to Mommy Pig and asks if she was ever a baby. Mommy Pig smiles and shows her a picture of newborn Peppa. At that moment, Daddy Pig joins in and says the photo was taken on the very first day they moved into their house. That's when something odd happens. We see a flashback of the Pig family in their car. In the back seat, there's a tiny piglet sitting upright. You'd think it's baby Peppa. But there's a problem. That little piglet is not in a car seat. In real life, that would be against the law. And even in the world of Peppa Pig, the show has been told before not to show kids riding without proper safety seats. So if that piglet really was baby Peppa, she should have been in a car seat. That means it probably wasn't her. So who was it? Some fans believe the piglet in the backseat might be Peppa's older sister, a sibling who never shows up in the series, but was there once. And if that mystery piglet wasn't Peppa, could she have had a sister no one ever talks about? There's another clue that shows up in Peppa's special tales. This time, the hint doesn't come from a photo. It comes from Peppa's imagination. In this episode, Peppa finds an old video of herself as a baby. After watching it, she decides to pretend to play pretend. She wants to act like she's going to have a baby, just like in one of her favorite stories. To make it feel real, Peppa places a pillow under her dress and pretends she's pregnant. At first, it seemed like innocent fun, but what happens next feels off. Peppa starts to rub the pillow and calls it her baby. But then, while pretending to give the pillow a massage, it slips from her hands and falls to the floor. There's no silly sound effect, no joke, just silence. Peppa's expression suddenly changes. Her face goes blank, like she knows something isn't right. George, who's watching her, also looks confused, maybe even worried. The whole moment feels uncomfortable, like it's touching something deeper. If you've seen Bluey, this scene might remind you of the episode, The Show, where Bingo's balloon baby pops. That moment led to a popular theory that Bluey's mom, Chili, once lost a child. Could the same idea apply here? Was this pretend game Peppa's way of showing something painful that happened to her family? Later in the same episode, Peppa asks Mommy Pig what people do when they have a baby in their belly. It's a simple question, but Mommy Pig doesn't answer right away. Instead, she looks distant. For a second, she stares off like she's thinking about something she'd rather forget. Then she quickly changes the subject. It's the kind of silence that says more than words ever could. By the end of the episode, Auntie Pig arrives with baby Alexander. That's when Peppa quietly takes the pillow, her pretend baby, out from under her dress and lays it down on the floor. Then she reaches over and picks up baby Alexander instead. It's easy to miss, but that moment feels important. Peppa doesn't just stop playing. She replaces her fake baby with a real one, as if something that was once hers had to be given up. All together, the strange silence, the pillow drop, and the quiet swap for baby Alexander create a haunting little story, one that might be telling us something no one in the Pig family is ready to say out loud. That quiet swap between the pillow and baby Alexander wasn't the only subtle clue in the episode. There's something else. Outside the house, Peppa asks Daddy Pig why there aren't any flowers in their garden. It seems like a small detail, but his answer is strange. He says the soil isn't good enough for flowers. It sounds simple, but in the context of everything else, it starts to feel like a symbol. Think about it. Soil that won't grow flowers? It's like a hidden message about Mummy Pig's body, as if she has trouble having babies. And it gets even deeper. In that same episode, Daddy Pig tries to put a flower pot on a shelf, but it slips and breaks. That's another quiet clue. Even if the soil could grow something, now there's no pot to hold it. One thing's not working and the other one's already broken. Together, they hint at something deeper. A problem with fertility. Even Mummy Pig's name connects to this. In another episode, Time Capsule, we see her as a child, wearing a dress covered in flowers. Just like the garden that no longer grows, Her name and her clothing might be telling a quiet story, one filled with loss and difficulty. That idea of struggling to grow something special continues in the rest of Mummy Pig's family. In the olden days, Grandpa Pig is shown trying to grow flowers, just like his daughter once did. But again, nothing grows. The garden stays empty. It's almost like a quiet family pattern, one that repeats from parent to child. She doesn't visit very often, and when she does, something always feels off. If you've watched Bluey, you might remember Aunt Brandy. She lives far away too, and brings the wrong gifts, like zebra clothes for Bluey, even though she doesn't like zebras anymore. But Brandy meant well. She just didn't know. Aunt Dottie, though? She knew better. She grew up in Peppa's town. She knows it's full of steep hills. So, why would she give a little kid a toy with wheels, something that could lead to a fall? Some fans think it wasn't a mistake. It was guilt. Maybe Aunt Dottie knew her sister had once lost a baby, and the gift was a strange, quiet way of acting out. Even more surprising? Aunt Dottie met Daddy Pig before Mummy Pig did, but she didn't end up with him. Maybe she couldn't have piglets. And in Peppa's world, that could change everything. If Aunt Dottie couldn't have children, it might not have been her fault. In fact, it might not even be rare. In Peppa's world, pigs are almost nowhere to be seen. Peppa and her family seem to be the only pigs left. Not just in their town, but across the globe. She's traveled to countries like Australia, the United States, and even France. And yet, there are still no other pigs. That's not normal. In a world where animals walk, talk, and live like humans, other species appear in big numbers. You see families of elephants, zebras, and of course, tons of rabbits. But pigs? Just one family. It's led many fans to believe that pigs are facing something serious in Peppa's universe. Maybe it's an illness. Maybe it's something else that stops them from having more babies. Either way, it looks like the species is in trouble, and the pig family might be the last hope. That could be why Daddy Pig ended up with Mummy Pig instead of Aunt Di. Maybe the decision wasn't just about love. Maybe it was about survival. He had to start a family with someone who could still have piglets, even if it was difficult. But even that's not simple. We know from clues throughout the show that Mummy Pig's pregnancies are likely hard. She only has 2 kids, and so does her sister. Even though, in the real world, pigs usually have large litters of 10 or more. Something isn't right. Something is clearly stopping these characters from growing their families. And when you look at other animals in the show, the contrast is hard to ignore. Take Miss Rabbit, for example. She's everywhere. She works at the hospital, the supermarket, the space center. And somehow, she seems to pop up in every country Peppa visits. Some fans think she has sisters or clones, but either way, it's a symbol of one big truth: rabbits multiply. They're known for it. In real life, a rabbit can have over 50 babies in her lifetime. That's why there are Miss Rabbits all over the map. But pigs? Not even close. In this world, they're rare and fragile, and that's the difference. Rabbits represent life and growth. Pigs seem to carry a quieter story, one that's about holding on before it's too late. We've already seen that having children in Peppa's family might not be easy, and George could be part of that story too. Even though he's still very young, George shows signs of struggling to communicate. He mostly repeats the same few words and rarely speaks in full sentences. At first, it seems like a cute character trait. But when you look at the bigger picture, it might be a clue. Maybe George was born after a difficult pregnancy. Maybe he still deals with the effects of that now. And if Mummy Pig is pregnant again, as some fans believe, there's a real concern that the new baby could face similar challenges. Or maybe worse. If Peppa really did have a sister before and she didn't survive, the family might still be carrying that pain. It makes you wonder, can this family handle one more heartbreak? Everything we've talked about so far paints a haunting picture. But, believe it or not, the very first clue to Peppa's missing sister might have been hiding in plain sight, right on Mommy Pig's old computer. In one episode, the computer is shown with a game screen where chickens lay eggs. It's a silly game at first glance, but take a closer look at the scoreboard. The player names are short versions of each family member. GEO for George, PEPPA for Peppa, GMPP for Grandma Pig, and GP for Grandpa Pig. Even Susie Sheep is there as SUZ. But there's one more name on the list: OOP. No one ever explains who that is, and that's where things get strange. Next to the initials is the score 142, which just happens to match episode 142 of the show. That episode is all about two sisters. One gets injured and has to stay home, while the other steps in to help. It might just be a number, but it might also be the show quietly pointing us toward a hidden character. Someone who was once part of the pig family. Someone they don't talk about anymore. Could Peppa's missing sister be more than just a theory? A silent scoreboard, a broken flower pot, a pillow gently replaced with a real baby. These aren't just coincidences, they're quiet pieces of a puzzle, hinting at a sister who was lost, hidden, or never got the chance to grow up. If you've felt that silence too, leave a candle emoji in the comments to remember what may have been. Sometimes, the softest stories are the ones that stay with us the longest. And if this theory made you think differently about Peppa's world, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts below.